Grace. They're coming.
It's 2025. Trust me, I checked.
Rude.
Just about 3 months ago now, we got the first Resident Evil 9 Requiem reveal trailer at Summer Games Fest, and the entire community was essentially thrown into an uproar of theories and ideas and fan attention to the most deep lore analysis videos you could ever find, which you may end up seeing some of here. But now the Gamescom has come and passed, we have an even more in-depth look into both the gameplay and story, and I think I can finally compile some of my thoughts on what we've seen so far and share them with you guys. We're going to talk about it all. We're going to cover everything: the new stalker enemy, the new Grace, who is that Zippo we're using for light, this and more tonight. But all of that after a word from our sponsor, me. Please drop a like, please drop a sub, we desperately need it. Comments especially too. We're on the way to 1,000 subscribers so we can get monetized, but we're sitting pretty tight at that 370 mark. So please, whatever you want to do, if you like the video, do it for us. We'd appreciate it a ton. Alright, this is our main girl, Grace Ashcroft, the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, a character from a sort of obscure but still widely loved spin-off called Resident Evil Outbreak. If you're familiar with Alyssa Ashcroft from Outbreak, then you know that her living in that game is now canon, and we also have zero intent on explaining what happened to everybody else that was there. Grace is a fairly intelligent introvert who moves around a lot with her mother Alyssa for spooky reasons we do not yet understand. But from what we can gather so far in the promotional material, at least, that is just kind of what they do. They bounce back and forth between place to place. That's why they're staying in a hotel at the beginning of this.
Mom. It's right beside you.
Hello?
Miss Ashcroft?
Yes.
Who was it?
Dunno. They asked for Miss Ashcroft and then they hung up on me.
Rude.
What the?
They're coming. Grace, we need to go.
Go where? Mom, what's going on?
Hurry.
Wait, who's coming? What's wrong?
We need to keep our voices down.
This is ridiculous.
Come on.
We see Grace and Alyssa talking on a stormy night when the phone rings, and Grace leans over to answer it, sparking the first spook in this trailer. Grace answers the phone to someone asking her her name before abruptly hanging up, which honestly doesn't really seem to bother Grace at all somehow, before Alyssa, becoming concerned with the lack of response, asks Grace who it was. Grace, of course, still gives no shits at all and just says she doesn't know. And then the lights cut out and the spook begins. Grace thinks this is ridiculous, apparently, even with the spooky light thing and the rain, so she demands that Alyssa explain what's going on when now is clearly not the time, Grace.
Wait!
Grace, keep moving.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, I'm so sorry about the power outage.
What happened?
It's really no excuse, and I apologize for the inconvenience.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Don't worry.
I should have it fixed soon. I just need to find my...
So now that we've made our exit from our room, we see Alyssa, gun in hand, leading us through the hallways of the hotel, up until we cut to a scene where we encounter the hotel owner, who we watch horrifically get the Patrick Bateman treatment.
In and out. Breathe in and out. Oh, Grace. I promise you, I will explain this all to you one of these days.
This prompts Grace and Alyssa to get on out of there, and they shimmy on down to the room that they will be having their last encounter in.
my hope.
We see Alyssa comforting Grace and just generally being a good mom for a moment in a scene where she promises that she's going to tell Grace everything one of these days before telling her she loves her.
Love you too.
And I've got to hand it to Grace's voice actress here. Oh my God, this scene is wonderfully voice acted. I love this so far.
Mom, I'm scared.
No. We need to find a way out of here now.
But we don't have any of our stuff.
We can come back.
Then we hear the soft, mushy sounds of assumedly Alyssa being off in the background. And that's where that trailer kind of ends. That's where we cut to that part.
Grace. Grace. Grace Ashcroft.
Yes?
My office.
Coming. If this is about the report you asked for yesterday, it'll be ready in 3. No, 2 days, tops.
Put a hold on that for now. We found another body. One that exhibits the same pathology as the others we've been investigating. Now, I need a good technical analyst on this.
Okay.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel. I know that's where your mother was murdered. Alyssa died 8 years ago.
We then do the big time skip, and it is now 8 years later. Grace is an FBI analyst of some sort working in her cubicle when she is approached by her boss, Nathan Dempsey, who accidentally scares the shit out of her when he knocks pretty normally on the outside of her cubicle.
Grace.
We can see she's doing some reports on mysterious murders involving infections. Coincidence? I think not. But Nathan upfront acknowledges how the assignment he's about to give her carries some traumatic weight. He asks her to follow up on a murder that's very, very similar to the ones she's been investigating, but it's a bit more personal, seeing as it's where we know Alyssa to have been murdered 8 years prior.
Oh, you're FBI? Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
Grace.
We see that Grace has decided to take the assignment despite her trauma and anxiety about the location, mostly due to her hoping she can find any connection between what's happening now and what happened nearly a decade ago to her and her mother.
Grace.
We're not exactly sure what happens next, but shortly after her arriving to the hotel, we assume Grace is abducted somehow, which leads to the shot of her in the beginning of this reveal, which is her strapped upside down to a medical bed while she's drained of some of her blood. We don't know why, we don't know how, we don't know where, and we don't even necessarily know when we are at this point. We just know that we're waking up terrified after most likely having been abducted recently. And Grace immediately somehow manages to work her way out of this after noticing a glass vial of her blood was being contained next to her on a stand that she's able to rip over and use the broken glass to cut her restraints. And now we try to escape. This is where the gameplay demo enters into the picture, and we're finally able to observe some of how Grace plays. The gameplay is a solid mix between the feel of 7's controls and the atmosphere of 7 mixed with 8 and Silent Hill PT in my opinion. And of course, none of us have played it yet since it's a Gamescom exclusive demo and it's just been kind of bouncing around festivals and stuff so that it can be shown off. But from the way Grace moves, I can assume it plays very similar to 7 control-wise.
Oh, not this way, not this way, not this way.
I will say Grace sets herself aside from most of the other mainline Resident Evil protagonists due to her not essentially being a superhero. And honestly, aside from Ethan, even including him after the first sections of Resident Evil 7, he's basically a superhuman monster. Even setting aside that he starts as the most thematically similar protagonist to Grace that we've seen so far, when you compare him to Chris, Leon, Claire, and Jill, everyone else just really seems to have some kind of superhuman tactical advantage that seems to aid them throughout the games. I can't say for sure yet, but Grace feels different. She feels uniquely normal and playable, significantly more relatable than what we've gotten from the macho man / macho woman personas of old. And I'm not dogging on that stuff at all. I have over 1,000 hours in Resident Evil 4 OG, and I adore both the cheese and the superhero suplexes, so the latter wasn't bad. But I am very excited to see what happens with Grace and how the franchise evolves from here. Grace seems to have gotten a lot of love and care, at least in the demo. She has some really cool environmental reaction animations, such as this one, where she reacts to the storms outside the window. Also, seeing her get stressed out and run into things and stumble depending on where the player moves her and at what speed and stress level is insanely cool and adds a lot of immersion in my opinion. Also, did you guys hear that there will be both first-person and third-person perspective in this game? Which is a first for the Resident Evil game franchises. If it's hot swappable, at least it is. But also, it seems to be another indication that we will be seeing firearms or at least weapons in some sort usable in the campaign later on. I feel like a first-person perspective leans heavier towards the kind of gameplay you got out of 7 and 8 with those first-person survival horror-style weapons and stuff. But we'll see what happens. It's also super important to state that if you are expecting a game where you can run and hide and are clumsy all the time, this is not the one for you. Despite the criticism levied online, the devs have announced that Grace does grow and become both less afraid, anxious, and less incompetent throughout the game. We know she will become less clumsy and more competent and will panic less, and we don't know for sure how heavy they will be, but we have confirmation that this is not just a cat and mouse game. There will be seriously heavy survival horror elements in it. And I can honestly think back to 2016 and 2017 when people were freaking out over the same assumptions about Resident Evil 7 after the Mia demo. And we all know that that game skewed significantly more towards survival horror than the cat and mouse game after the first half hour of the gameplay was over and you actually had a weapon and Ethan was infected with the mold, of course.
Ashcroft, and then they hung up on me. Rude.
But a little bit more about the game again. You have 7 item slots available, at least at this point in the game that we see the gameplay demo you do. It seems like both the lighter and health items take up their own individual spots in the inventory. Again, which is nice. I like that we keep some things consistent throughout these games, and I always enjoy when health is a manageable item, putting you in situations where you might have to decide between being able to bring ammo to use to fight an enemy, a puzzle item necessary to get through an area, or a health item necessary to keep you alive. Also, has anybody told you yet about our Lord and Savior, the Hag? The Hag is a nearly 10-foot tall behemoth of a woman with a face resembling the painting Saturn Devouring His Son by Francisco de Goya. She is incredibly menacing and from what we can tell so far is either blind or has very, very little sight left. But don't let that give you false confidence. She can both hear and smell you even in the dark, and the only way we know of so far to damage her even a little bit is very, very bright lights. Much brighter than a candle or a flashlight or your little Zippo lighter. She's capable of biting a man's head clean off, busting a hole through the ceiling, then climbing into the ceiling, and also probably making a mean sandwich. But on a more realistic note, she's terrifying, and her breathing sounds also just horrify me. And also, no, to all the fan theory crafters out there saying that the Hag is Lisa Trevor, the director Koshi Nakuichi confirmed that the voice used right now is a temp voice, and she has no relation to Lisa, and he apologizes for any confusion. There will be no connection between Lisa Trevor and the Hag. I'm sorry to burst the bubble for all you guys. I was also pretty excited for that. But also, the lights that keep the Hag at bay can eventually be knocked out if you move between the well-lit areas too frequently, causing a ton of anxiety and stress, and making the safe areas not so safe sometimes. Also, just to stir the pot, I'm pretty sure that the Hag is Alyssa. I'm pretty sure it's Grace's mom. In some areas, the Hag behaves very similarly to the alien from Alien Isolation. If you run into a safe area, she will slink into the ceiling and essentially vent out of there and then go get in between you and your objective and just sulk somewhere nearby to prevent you from being able to make progress towards your objective and the goal. The AI will naturally reappear in places near your objective unless given a reason to investigate elsewhere. A reason such as maybe a beer bottle being thrown down a hallway? Also, yo, this bottle has stats, and that interests me greatly. I wonder if the stats mean there's actually stronger bottles available to find, or if it indicates a general damage number or use amount. Like the radius bar makes me think that there might be Molotovs or grenades with a higher damage radius on impact, but the bottle doesn't do damage, so it just hits and crashes, and that's why the radius bar is so small on that. Before we close this off, let's drop a few theories and a rough idea of the story and setting that we know so far. Okay, so we know we're back in Raccoon City and that we will have the opportunity to explore the RPD one last time. We know the survivors from Outbreak play a role in this story, and possibly the Daybreak from that game as well. The hooded figure is wearing a modified version of Wesker's jacket with a hood included, so it's possible that this is a Spencer or Wesker related antagonist. We also know that Grace is for some reason the chosen one of sorts for this antagonist plans, and we know that this comes out next year. But that's kind of it for now. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed any of this or you found it useful at all, please drop a comment with any theories or ideas you have, as well as with anything I may have missed in this brief breakdown. This has been your boy Kiva, signing off. Au revoir.
Tell me what's going on.
Something important. Mom, I'm scared. Grace.